Hello and welcome to the Miracle Mind Show. Her name is
Annie Francis and his name
is Stephen Conway. And we are the House of Inspiration, giving you every day some uplifting news, inspiration, quotes, and just to make your day go a little bit nicer. We're starting today
with a quote that I've dug out especially for the beginning of the new year or the beginning of the next day of your life, whenever you're watching this. And it's basically saying this. It said, when diet is wrong, medicine is of no use. When diet is correct, medicine is of no need.
I love that. And I am guilty of that myself. So share the wisdom around that. And then I'll tell my own story, especially from what happened the last couple of days in the beginning of the new year.
Yes, because Stephen is probably quite similar to many other people. I'm actually not like that.
You're so good.
Because I'm the angel. But anyway,
yeah.
I have my other issues. But basically, when your diet is so, what shall I say, is so bad, or you're eating things that you know that you shouldn't be eating, or you know that's no good for your constitution, then whilst you feel like you're getting away with it, you're never getting away with it because you cannot see what's going on inside your body. And eventually your body will shout at you. Sometimes it's sooner rather than later, as it usually is in Stephen's case. And actually it is in my case. If I was to eat too much, let's say creamy things, or too much cheese or something like that, my body starts shouting, and then it upsets my digestion. And if you do it for quite a long period of time, you keep doing this to your body, then you'll have to start taking these medicines, or they will give you antacids for your digestion. But one of the things I was talking to someone about today was the fact that if I was to take antacids, that's the worst thing I could possibly take, because I have got a very low digestive fire, and the last thing I want to do is put my digestive fire out. However, if I keep to my regime, 90% of the time keep to my regime, then my digestion is very happy, and I don't need to go for the medicines. I don't need to have to go, what can I take? What can I take? I've got stomachache. What can I take? I've got a headache, drinking too much alcohol or not drinking enough water or whatever. So if the diet is good, if you keep the body in balance with the right sorts of foods, the right sorts of hydrations, the right sorts of oils, the majority of the time, 99% of the time, you won't need medicine. And that's an ancient Ayurvedic proverb. So, Stephen,
there you go.
Do tell us about your overindulgence.
You might be watching this at another time of year. I am the time of recording. This is January the 3rd or third. Thank you. So we have just come out of our Christmas, where on the 7 weeks up to Christmas, I was really, really good with my diet, and I was very focused. I'd given up the alcohol, given up the sugar, not completely, but had really drastically cut it down, and was eating a much more low carb diet, which works very well for me. So I was eating small amounts of meat, eggs, lots of vegetables, but low sugar. And I was determined to go through Christmas without deviating from that. Because just like you, Ali, my system is very, very clear that what it likes and what it doesn't like, and how it impacts me massively is in the sleep department. If I do stray from the path, unlike lots of people who generally have no problem with their sleep, me, it really affects my sleep. I get very achy during the night. I wake up. I need to go to the toilet lots. It's bloody ridiculous. And so I was really determined to make sure that I stayed on the straight and narrow. However, I'm a Conway. And I'm an addict, especially when it comes to food. And so what I actually did was, the first sign, somebody who said, we're getting together on New Year's Eve. You are going to drink, aren't you? You're not going to be boring. And I fell for that line and was like, oh no, I will drink. And then I thought, well, if I'm going to drink on New Year's Eve, I might, this was, just on the lead up to Christmas. I think it was on the 22nd, 23rd. So I thought, right, well, I might as well start now. So I literally have had 9-10 days of basically drinking, eating, and lots of sugar over the Christmas period. And I have to say two things. Number one was I didn't really enjoy it. In fact, I think I would have been a lot happier had I not done it. The only thing that it did give me was that feeling of being part of the tribe. This thing that, you know, we all, well, I do certainly crave this need to be part of a tribe. And, you know, I assume that a lot of other people feel the same way, but I feel like a bit of a weakling at times when I cave in to peer pressure. But, you know, we want to be liked, don't we? That's a big central theme of who we are. And
but one of the things, can I just interrupt you there, Stephen? Is that when we were talking about the sort of the 90% of the time, you'll get to know Mr. Conway over this show. But he's not someone intimately. That can go, on Christmas Day, I'm going to have a few glasses, and on New Year's Eve, I can have a few glasses. But did you notice? He said, well, for the last 10 days, I have been eating. He just can't do that.
I cannot do, what's the word, when it's like, you know, moderation. I cannot do moderation. Although I have to say, I wasn't as bad as I normally am. So it did, like the first few days I was more gentle into it, but then I went full on sugar monster. I mean, I was like cramming in those the mince pies and the chocolate like it was going out of fashion. It was like I suddenly went to myself, right, well, I'm only doing this for 10 days. You might as well, you know, stuff your gullets and take, you know, which is just a ridiculous thing because you end up then feeling ill. And yesterday took out my daughter and one of her friends down to the beach for a lovely stroll by the beach for, you know, welcoming the new year in. And we went for lunch at one of our favorite restaurants. Well, I have to say, though, it wasn't that good yesterday. And maybe that's quite good that it happened this way, because I actually went, you know what, this is my last meal before I go really healthy. I'm going to have a burger and fries. And, that's
the mentality.
Yeah,
that's
not
the
only
mentality.
I know, and not only was it disappointing. Number one, as in what, you know, when you go, you know, if it was, if you don't mind having a burger, if it's really worth it, you know what I mean? When that one where you sort of bite into it, it's succulent, tastes really good, the chips are amazing. You actually then go, wow, you know this. But not only did it not taste good, it was very dry. And the bun was very dry. Everything about it was like a disappointment. The service was terrible. They brought the wrong wine. Then they ended up swapping over for the right wine, by which time I'd eaten most of my burger. It was just a complete disaster. But the worst bit of it was how I felt after having this burger, which, as I say, is actually possibly quite a good thing, because I felt so awful physically. Not only did I feel my digestion was literally, because I haven't had wheat for ages, or I haven't had lots of wheat and normal wheat. I've had sourdough and spelt sourdough and stuff, but in small portions, whereas this was like a big brioche bun of probably quite cheap flour. And immediately, oh my God, my system felt like it was really struggling. So first of all, I had that sort of slightly acidic feeling going on. Then I had this massive drop in energy, because while my system was trying to deal with it all, and I felt on the way home, felt sick all the way home. So as I say, why is that a benefit? And I'll come back to you in a second. Why is that a benefit? Is that it's actually made me today go, right, that's it. I am back on my healthy living.
Right. Well, Stephen, we're all going to join in, and I'm going to try to keep Stephen. We are going to try to keep you, Stephen, and you guys can join in.
Yes.
And try to keep you on the straight and narrow.
Let me know in the comments. Am I alone in this? Let me know in the comments. I don't think you are. If you are,
and I'm no angel, by the way, but you say that a lot.
I do.
I am going to
be super healthy.
I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to do it this time. I'm going to do it this time.
And I do genuinely mean it.
Yes, I know you mean it at the time. Everyone means I'm on a diet tomorrow at the time. But what you have to do, and you know it, and it's about being more mindful.
Yeah.
It's about being, because you have the addictive personality. And when you have an addictive personality, your body actually holds all the addictions. It's your body that's doing the craving.
Yeah.
If you can be more mindful in that nanosecond before you've eat it, said it, done it, mindful, like, do I want to do this? Is this going to serve me? That is when you are going to be able to stop this roller coaster of like three months of like no sugar, no sugar, no sugar. And one of the things that's interesting is that sometimes that approach might suit some people. Other times it might just be a more moderation approach. Because I had a teacher, a very wise soul who's now passed away. He said everything in moderation, including moderation. Meaning that when you're so extreme, it's actually quite difficult to sustain. But on the other hand,
that's where I am. Like 7 weeks of being really good. So when I did fall off the wagon, I fell off big time.
So your lesson, or maybe the thing that would be useful to work on, and if any of you guys are like Stephen, would be to try to
I hope you are like me, because otherwise I feel really bad.
There's not many like Stephen, I can tell you, not many like Stephen. I've only met one, and I've been on the planet for a long time. Is actually exercising the mindfulness and the relationship with what goes into your body, and the extremity of the complete deprivation. Sometimes I think that's why diets often don't work, is because it's about deprivation instead of relationship with food and what goes into your body. If you change the relationship with, and you go, well, I'm going to have one glass of wine. I'm going to have a couple glasses of wine. This is like once a week or whatever. I don't even count it. But if okay, this evening we're going out for dinner, I'm going to have a glass of wine, and that might be it for a week or a couple of weeks.
This is you're talking about, or this is what you're advising me to do?
This is me. I'm talking about other ways, other ways of being. So if you're sometimes the extremity feels like deprivation, or it can feel like, right, I'm having a complete lifestyle change, a bit like Brian Johnson, who has his blueprint. He has gone all in. And his relationship with anything that he comes into contact that goes inside of his body, he breathes in anything. Yeah. His relationship is, I don't want that in my body.
Yeah. And is he the one who's going for the youngest, trying to be like de-aging or whatever you call it?
Yeah. He
does look very weird though, doesn't he? Don't you think?
He's actually changed. I was watching a video about him, and he actually admits that he was a bit too extreme. Okay. So he was on a Belio podcast, right? And he looked very, very skinny in the face. Gaunt, he was only being very gaunt.
And he was doing like things like blood transplants with his son and all that kind of stuff. I get the principles of it, but then, and that's my issue with it, is that you can start to get a bit reclusive in terms of health because you are so conscious about it.
Well, I think that's where the 80-90% rule comes in. It means you have a degree of flexibility. You don't feel like you're completely being deprived of absolutely everything, like a tiramisu once in a while, or a glass of prosecco or something like that. But if you're anything like Stephen Conway, then if you do it once, you do it again and again and again and again, and then you have to cut yourself off. So, Stephen, we are going to have a more mindful approach now. With
2025 is a new mindful approach. If you're watching this in 2026, well, ace, amazing that we're still on there. Hopefully we still are. However, you will see, and I'm going to be sharing my journey as we go through the year of what I'm achieving, what I'm not achieving, and the way I am dealing with my addictions. And interestingly enough, actually, having just watched a fantastic Stephen Bartlett, which does the Diary of the CEO, he's done an amazing interview with a lady on dopamine. Now, as I say, we are in January of 2025 as it currently stands. So if you are looking for the Diary of a CEO, it was one that's just recently been released, and I've only just watched part of it. But what was really interesting about it, and for somebody who's watching this, how this can be helpful to you, is the realization that homeostasis in the body means that if you have a dopamine hit in your body from food, alcohol, or anything else, because your body needs to bring you back into homeostasis, it will create an equal, and in a lot of cases, a much bigger trend of the opposite to dopamine. Now, that could be, as I found out yesterday, initial dopamine was, having a burger, but afterwards it had a massive homeostasis moment, which is the body trying to bring itself back into balance. And it gave me massive indigestion. It gave me massive, not depression, but I felt really low. I felt really tired. I felt horrible about myself and what have you. And having that explained to me today has really sort of altered my thought processes. Whether this will work longer term, I don't know. However, I'm sharing it today so that we can keep myself on track and for you to share my experiences. But what I am now going to be looking at each thing that I do when it comes to alcohol or food or sugar in particular, is making that decision. Is it worth having the counterbalance to the dopamine hit? i.e., the dopamine hit tends to be quite short for me, whereas the what's it called? I don't know, the rebound or the attempt to go into homeostasis tends to be a lot longer with me.
Yeah, I think the thing is what we all have to realize, apart from all those stats and everything, the simple way to look at it is your body is trying to communicate with you 24/7.
Mm.
So what you have to do is tune into the body. The way to tune into the body is to have a quieter mind, a clearer mind, less brain fog, and tune in.
Mm.
What's your energy levels feel like?
Mm.
Do you feel bright? What's your mind feel like? What's your state? What does your emotions feel like? How's your digestion today?
Mm.
You need to be going, you for want of a better, we're not going to talk about stools, but are they floating? They should float. Or are they sinking? If you've eaten really heavy, are they very smelly? Because all these things, your body is communicating with you.
Yes,
the whole time.
all of the above, if you ask my kids.
All of it, exactly. And so, on one level, it's very simple. It's not rocket science. Listen to your body. It will tell you the quality of your sleep, the digestion, the regularity of that, your energy levels, the way your skin looks. There's lots and lots of signs, but we have a tendency to ignore the signs.
Yeah.
Don't we, Steve?
We do. And that leads on quite nicely now to the positive story of the day. So imagine a 500-year-old oak tree felled by a storm, being reborn as an 18-metre-long table fit for 60 guests. Well, that's exactly what happened in a woodland near Chagford in Dartmoor, which is actually in the south of England, southwest of England, where a fallen giant has been transformed into what is believed to be the longest table ever crafted from a single oak tree. Local harpist Elizabeth Jane Baldry spearheaded the project, raising £22,500 through crowdfunding, which is about $30,000 for those watching in the US. And her vision was to turn a fallen Tudor oak into a place for people to gather, share food and create memories. She actually bought a patch of woodland now called Pigwiggan Wood, which I love. It sounds very much like that sort of Harry Potter. And she's basically nurtured it into a thriving wildlife refuge. And basically she said it's had 500 years of growing and now hopefully will be 500 years preserved as a beautiful table. And people have contributed to that around the world, saying that they never sit at a table themselves but were moved by the magic of its story. And now that great oak table awaits its next chapter, Midsummer Feast, winter soup gatherings and quiet days where visitors can simply sit and soak up the woodland magic. So from a fallen oak comes something even more extraordinary.
Well, that's a very beautiful story. And I have a tiny little story to add to that. In my olive grove here in Italy, one of the trees died. It was very, very sad. We were trying to move it. Ignorance actually prevailed because we actually did kill it because we put too much water in it, covered its root, all the things that you shouldn't do to an olive tree. But instead of actually just chopping it up and burning it as firewood, we just chopped it up. So it's now in the house as a beautiful natural sculpture.
Oh, wow.
As a reminder of how beautiful the wood is, how beautiful olive wood is, rather than just chopping it up and just discarding the beauty of something so
it's like
amazing.
Also honouring it, isn't it? It's honouring it.
It's honouring
that
it.
it lived and did a beautiful thing, and you've now preserved it.
Yeah, so it was probably at least 200 years old as well. It was a massive tree. So I think honouring nature, being more mindful of what we're doing with the trees and how we're treating the planet, is something that we should really consider and take inspiration from some of these stories. So hopefully that's inspired that story.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Now we are going to the...
Well, actually, we're going to talk about, before the life hack, we're going to actually talk about our sponsor for today. And the sponsor for today is our very own Juice Detox. And it's basically a juice and digital detox where you come for 1 week of a very gentle detox. So it basically involves juices, and it involves broths, and it involves salads, and you also do yoga, meditation. There are exercise classes, and you come and stay in one of the most beautiful places in the UK. And likewise, we have a version over in Italy where Ali is, and you get an opportunity to not only come and reinvigorate and rejuvenate, but you will find all that information on juice-retreat.com. Juice-retreat.com.
We will look forward to seeing you there.
We would love to see you. We will be there. So if you do come along, we will hopefully be there. Obviously, I can't guarantee we will be there, but in most cases we will be there. Ali is a yoga teacher, so she will hopefully be taking some of the yoga lessons. And I will be sharing my experiences, having done multiple detoxes over the years, about how to, really reset your body, because I have done it a gazillion times because I keep falling off the wagon. And I have to say,
we will be doing it again with you
and
guys.
I'm about to do it again. I've actually started today. It's a fantastic retreat. So check it out, juice-retreat.com. And that leads on to life hack of the day.
Yeah. So the life hack today, I just wanted to chuck in there, since we're talking about food and this time of year, is intermittent fasting. Just to simplify the idea of intermittent fasting and why you would do intermittent fasting. Basically, if you think about the way that we treat our digestion, we're eating from breakfast, then we're picking, then we're lunching, then we're snacking, then we're dinnering, then we're snacking. And the poor digestive system has no space at all without it actually having to be working 24/7. And it needs space. The microbiome needs space to reproliferate. And there's lots of evidence around the benefits of intermittent fasting and improved microbiome. Microbiome, by the way, are the bugs that you have in your gut that you absolutely need. And by the way, the microbiome, you have to keep them happy. Because one of the things you could ask yourself, is this your house or their house? Because if you upset your microbiome will upset you. So if you have times or periods, I usually like to fast from about 6:30 p.m. to about 9 a.m. in the morning. So giving my gut a nice bit of time to finish off the digestion. So as an example, if you imagine a fireplace that's smouldering, and you're chucking more wood in there, but it can't burn the wood. So it's building up, it's smoking, it's smouldering, it's smelling. that's really what's happening in your digestion, because your digestion is half cooked, if you like. Then you're chucking more stuff down there. Then it's having to start the process again. And you're really taxing the digestion. If, however, you give it a nice long time to finish the digestion properly, make sure your gut's rehydrated, it has amazing benefits. So apart from the weight loss, there's lots of weight loss benefits and all that fat burning thing, because if you're not putting calories in there, then your body's starting burning the calories actually, or the fat on your body. But if you don't need to lose weight like me, and you just want to really honour your digestion, give it the space. So you can, it doesn't have to be 16 hours or 18 hours. Some people are very extreme with it and some people are a bit less, but absolutely eating early in the evening and giving your gut plenty of time. So let's say finish eating by 6:30 if you could, 7 at the very latest, and not eating till about 9 o'clock in the morning. That gives your gut a nice long time to recover. In the meantime, obviously hydrate, having a nice, glass of warm water and lemon juice or something in the morning when you get up. Things like that would really, really benefit your digestion, because your health and well-being starts in your gut. And that is something that is proven by science now. It was something that the Ayurvedic people talked about 5,000 years ago. And all this stuff is coming out, and there's more and more and more proof to say that your health and well-being starts in your digestion. So we have to honour it. And that's why they honour it in traditions. They call it agony, the divine fire. It's a divine thing. And you have to look after it and honour it. So
yeah.
Yeah.
And I completely agree. For me, again, talking about the sleep side of things, if I have, the longer I leave it before bedtime, the better I sleep. Now, there are occasions then I can end up being a little bit hungry throughout the night, and this does not work for everybody. This is just, I know that Tom Bilyeu, he stops eating around about 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I find that if I do that, then I am starting to get a little bit hungry. But if I stop eating around about the 4 o'clock time, that number one allows me, I can actually eat a lot more than I actually find that because I've got such a long time to digest the food before bedtime, that I can actually be a little bit more flexible on what I eat. And therefore, I then give myself, that sort of 6 to 8 hours before bedtime, before I then, hit the sack and my system then is empty. And I then find that I'm able to control my heat a lot better and therefore sleep a lot better. You have to test this. That's what my experience is that some people are much better of intermittent fasting in the morning, and then eating in the evening because they feel that's much more social. And if they've got a strong enough digestive fire to be able to digest that later in the evening, or if they go to bed later, then you test which works for you, because not everybody's the same.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know that the likes of what's his name, who does the bulletproof coffee, what's his name?
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, him.
Dave Asprey. There you go. It's just come to me. Dave Asprey. So he is a big advocate of having black coffee and sometimes with butter blended in the morning, and then having his lunchtime and evening meal, and that works for him. Me, I'm much better if I have I love my breakfast. I'm a breakfast boy, and therefore having my breakfast and then not eating later in the evening, that can then mean you have to then swap it around a bit. So if you are going out in the evening with friends, then you swap it around. That's what I do. I'll then not eat in the morning and then have my evening meal. But I tend to then have to stay up because if I go to bed on a full stomach, then it's all hell to pay.
Absolutely. Just go back to the coffee and the thing that you were saying about not everyone's the same, which they absolutely aren't. So one of the things about coffee, and one of the things about him adding cream into the coffee, because the coffee actually is very heating and it dries up the enzymatic juices in the gut. So for some people that works quite well, and other people it doesn't. But if you compensate by adding the cream, for people with a drier system, then that works really well. So the point is that we are not the same, and you have to listen to your body and understand who you are and what your body needs. And I think that's the thing.
Very frustrating though, isn't it? Why are we not just have one manual that works for all of us? We're all so different that actually it means that you have to then test things out. And if you end up feeling crap like I did last night, and I still feel a little bit crap now, I'm now back on it, and I'm going to do my detox. And I'm going to follow all my detox things this week, which is going to get me back on track. But it's taken me a long time to learn what works for me.
I think it does. I think the youngsters, I think they're learning quicker now. They're getting into this stuff before, but we weren't into it in our 20s.
Yeah.
It's only really been the last 25 years, really, that we've been really into it and doing a lot of work on oneself and studying everything else. So I think, but it's good to understand that it's horses for courses. We need different things. People need to go to bed at slightly different times. They need slightly different amounts of sleep. They need slightly different types of food. And the raw diet will work for that person, not that person. The coffee person will work for that. That person, if it's just pure coffee, that person, if you add cream or coconut oil in it or something to compensate for the dryness. So you have to understand what works for you, and that's the most important thing.
Definitely.
Definitely.
Which leads on quite nicely to our product of the day, which is Trip Drinks. Now, this is my saviour. If I am going either, when I'm in my non-drinking phase, which now is going to be...
Can I just stop? Trip. That's why he loves it, because he can get on a trip.
Sounds like a trip.
Trip.
Well, do you know what?
It sounds good.
Yes, and actually, like this one has ashwagandha in it, and I don't know whether I can get close up there, but it does also include magnesium and botanicals. And at the top there, it says in very light writing, it says that it is with ashwagandha as well. This one is the cucumber mint. Delicious, really delicious. It does have 7 grams of sugar in that, which for most people, that's not a lot. However, for me, that is quite a lot. So what I tend to do is I will use this, and I will then put some sparkling water with it as well. And I find that it's just as enjoyable. And it makes that last longer as well, because these come in, I think, I'm off the top of my head, they're about between £1 and £1.50 each. So I will try and make that will last a couple of evenings. They do also do the ones that are CBD infused. Now, CBD is the non-hallucinogenic part of the cannabis plant, which is supposed to have lots of medicinal elements to it that actually help with, the healing of the body. And so therefore I tend to find that having either the CBD one or my favorite, which is the magnesium and ashwagandha one, as a, really, really good. This particular flavor is the elderflower and mint. This one is cucumber mint. They've got about 6 or 8 flavors, I think, in total. They really are fantastic, and my go-to for having a drink when it's not alcoholic, but still feeling like I'm having a cocktail or something of that nature. I've actually just taken delivery of another one called Mother Root. So we'll do that as another product of the day, another day, and let you know what I think of that. But I'm all about this moment in time, especially in 2025, where I want to achieve, and I'm sure you're the same way, Ali, I want to achieve so much that I really need to get my body and my mind into the best possible shape. But I included in that is, as you say, moderation. That is not going crazy. I had, I did 7 weeks of being super good, and then I fell off like a, ton of bricks. So I think for me, what tends to work better for me is to have a diet day off or a cheat day or whatever you want to call it once a week.
Yeah. absolutely. And then you don't feel like you're being deprived.
Yeah.
You can participate, and then you probably won't fall off the wagon as much, because on a Sunday lunch, for example, you can go out for a Sunday lunch.
Yes.
You can have, your pudding if you want to, or a glass of pudding if you want to, and then Monday you don't. That's just one day.
Yeah, well, I think if I go from, say, Saturday evening, where I can, let's say, have a couple of glasses of wine, and then have a couple of glasses of wine with Sunday lunch, then that's a sort of 24 hours, slightly less than 24 hours, maybe 18 hours of being slightly off the track. However, I then feel like I'm not being deprived. Exactly. And then what tends to work for me is to do the intermittent fasting on the Monday. Yeah. And sometimes I'll make that extend if I can, because I've eaten quite a lot, say, over the Sunday lunch. I tend to find I can, without too much difficulty, go through the whole of the Monday. So that's the Sunday night without eating, then the whole of Monday without eating, and either then start eating on the Monday evening, or wait till the Tuesday morning when I start eating again. And I find that is a really, really good reset for me. You probably don't need to do that, because you're slim and gorgeous.
Well, I don't tend not to overindulge like you do as much, just because it doesn't work. It just does not work for me. So you are really good at that moderation, aren't you? I'm quite good at the moderation. Yeah. Because I do enjoy. I have a bit of a sweet tooth.
Are you like that with sex? Are you in moderation with sex when it comes to, or when you are in? Because you're not in a relationship at this moment in time. But when you are in a relationship,
have a date last night.
You what? You had a date. Ooh.
We're going to take this out though, aren't we?
Are you allowed to share this with our listeners as to whether you... No.
You're going to...
Anyway, that's it for today's show. If you've enjoyed watching it, my name is...
Stephen Conway.
And her name is Ali Francis. If you haven't enjoyed watching it, then my name is Ali Francis and her name is...
Stephen Conway.
So it's a goodbye from her.
And it's a goodbye from him.
See you next time.